Thanks so much for sticking around. I'm really excited to get to share some things with you, just share kind of what I've been doing in my life and what the Lord has been doing through my life and in my life, and just to cast some vision for the world and for missions as well. So I have a decent amount to get through. I'm going to hopefully get through all of it and get to questions at the end, but if not, you can always ask me later. If you don't know me, I am Levi Johnson. I work with an organization called Cru. I'm transitioning right now from being an intern to being on full-time staff, and Cru is primarily a campus ministry that works in all over the world. Here's a picture of my family. Maybe the clicker works. Okay. You might have seen some of them around here. So I've gone to this church for a long time, but I've not been around as much the last couple of years. So if you're a new face, you might not know me as well. But this is my wonderful family. I'm the middle child, which comes with lots of fun things. But I'm really I love my family, and I'm so grateful for their support as I've kind of been all over the place. So if you've been following along kind of my last few years on my journey, you'll know that primarily because of the pandemic, I've been moved around to a lot of different locations where I've been asked to serve, been given different assignments. I started off working with Cru in college and got involved with international missions and really wanted to go. And so this past year I was in Bangkok, Thailand. But here's some pictures of my teams from a couple different summer trips to East Asia, a year-long internship in the Middle East, and then a year-long internship in Thailand. It's been difficult to move around a lot and kind of have expectations to go certain places, and the Lord's like, nope, not here, and move me around and have relationships with lots of different people and have to kind of start over with languages and all this stuff. But I know that the Lord He has provided for me every step of the way. He's provided many blessings for me, and I believe that He has honored my willingness to just keep saying yes to what He has for me. And so I'm really excited for what He's going to be doing in the future as well. With Cru, the first two pictures there from East Asia, that was summer missions that I did while I was still in college. And I really appreciate, during the school year, I was looking for a community of believers to be involved with and make friends at a secular university, and it was just really exciting, not only to find friends there that I could hang out with and I have Christian friends that I'm not going to be going out partying, but I can still have fun. But also just the vision that Cru casts for the students and the ways that they give to be involved, not only in serving the campus you're on in the meantime, like your own campus, but also to go to the world and to be involved in sending and going to other campuses around the world. I really, truly believe, if you've heard me, if I've talked to you about this before, I really, truly believe that college campus is a very important mission field in the world, as college students oftentimes are trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, and they're moved out of their parents' house and are open to new ideas and exploring and new friendships. And so there's such a need, not only in the United States, but all around the world, for college students to know the gospel. And I think, especially in some of these places where other religions are really, overwhelmingly, the majority of people are involved in Islam or Buddhism, family is a big part of, it's really hard to evangelize to individuals when they're within kind of their family unit, as there's so much pressure to, not change and to stay with the family religion. So in college, they're a little bit, kind of finally out of their parents' house and, are able to explore more things. Cru is the organization I'm working with. I've been really excited to work with them. Their kind of stated purpose is, our purpose is helping to fulfill the Great Commission in the power of the Holy Spirit by winning people to faith in Jesus, building them up in their faith, and sending them to win and build others and do the same. So Cru has over 25,000 missionaries in 191 countries, the majority of which are working with college students. They have some other ministries as well. But kind of the overall goal is we want every student to know somebody who's truly following Jesus, to have someone in their life that can share the gospel with them, that can be a witness to them. And so I'm really grateful for the international opportunities I've had to this point to serve with Cru, beginning in college and continuing until now. So I wanted to share this verse that's kind of like a life verse for me, and that's really important to just what we do as believers and what we're called to do. It's referred to as the Great Commission. There's multiple passages, but this one from Matthew chapter 28, verses 18 through 20. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." And this verse is Jesus about to ascend back into heaven. He is giving this final command, this commission to his disciples to go and make disciples of all nations. And he promises that he'll be with us and gives us the power and strength to do that. And I'm so honored that he decides to use vessels like us to accomplish his mission of reaching the world, reaching the nations with the gospel. And so when we think about reaching the nations, I think there's a lot that it's what does that really mean? And we know that God cares for the nations. He wants to see people in every nation, tribe, and tongue come to know him, and we've been given that image in Revelation chapter 7, verse 9 through 10. It says, "After this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, 'Salvation belongs to our God and to the Lamb, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb.'" So we get to see this beautiful picture at the consummation of all things and at the throne of God in eternity, where we see people from every nation and tribe and tongue worshiping together. And that's the vision that I think we should have for the world, is that he has said that they will all be there, and there's a lot of work to be done to accomplish that, and we're trusting the Lord that he will do that, but there's a lot of work to be done. So a lot of the work in reaching the unreached people groups of the world, I want to define a couple things first. So what is a people group? So there's a lot of different definitions, but for evangelistic purposes, a people group is the largest group within which the gospel can spread as a church planting movement without encountering barriers of understanding or acceptance. So basically, a lot of those barriers would be language or geography, or a group of people that they're not going to be able to receive the gospel and have a church there that's flourishing without someone coming to the outside to help. And so an unreached people group then is, so this is from the Joshua Project. I have a few statistics and stuff, but an unreached people group is a people group among which there is no indigenous community of believing Christians with adequate numbers and resources to evangelize this people group without outside assistance. Generally considered less than 5% Christian adherent or less than 2% evangelical Christian. So this might be hard to read the numbers on there, but mostly I'm concerned about the proportion of the graph. So if you can't read it, that's okay. So in the world, there are considered to be 17,428 distinct people groups, 7,415 of which, or it's 42%, are considered unreached. And before you think like, oh, that's just like a couple hundred people each, it comes out to about the equal amount of percentage of population in the world live in these unreached people groups for a population of 3.34 billion. And then another slide that's really kind of humbling is the estimated number of missionaries in the world, full-time missionaries worldwide, is 450,000, and the number going to these unreached people groups is around 15,000, which is about 3%. So that means on average each unreached people group has just 2 missionaries, and that's on average. I know some of them have a lot more, so some of them have 0. So, like, why is this the reality? Where are all these people living? I think a really good tool that kind of helps visualize this is called the 1040 window. So what it is a place on the map between 10 latitude and 40 latitude north, covering North Africa, the Middle East, and a big chunk of Asia. It is home to 5.26 billion people, which is like out of 7 point something, so that's a lot of people, with 8,800 people, over 8,800 people groups. So if you look at this map too, you might see a lot of places that are hard to reach, that are kind of like, you probably haven't been to many of these places, maybe some of them, but like they're kind of considered in our minds as like really like the other side of the world. Like how do you even get there? Like what's even going on there? And it might be even like scary, like, oh, I don't know if I would ever go there. And so part of the reason that this area is so unreached is because it's so hard to get there, and it's just like, it's a hard place to live. And so why is this window important? It's really, there's nothing magical about the box, but it's just a good way of visualizing the need for missions. So here's another map. I don't know how well you can see it, but each dot is a people group, and the red ones, it scales from green to red, dark green to red. The red ones are the unreached people groups, and the green is like significantly reached with the gospel. And so, as you can see, most of the red are in this box on the map, and it's, I think 6,182 of the unreached people groups are in that box out of 7,400, with a combined population of 3.23 billion people. A very small percentage of long-term missionaries and an even smaller portion of Christian giving is going to evangelistic efforts in church planting in these people groups. So you might be thinking, well, what can I do about it? Well, I have a couple things you can do about it, but the first thing that you can do is, it's not only the least that we can do, it's the most we can do, is to pray. Pray that the Holy Spirit would be softening the hearts and moving people to believe in these places. Pray against the oppressive forces and governments that are in place that make it hard for the gospel to spread and multiply, and hard for people to get there to share the gospel. Pray for opportunities for missionaries to go to these hard to reach places. A lot of these people groups, like, I wouldn't be able to go there, you wouldn't be able to go there because of like your passport or many other reasons, but there are other people groups that can go to these people groups. So there needs to be almost like a chain, like a multiplication, like need to have missionaries raised up from other places as well to reach some of these places. Pray for those that are believers in these places as they face persecution and hardship, and pray the Lord would raise up laborers from all over the world to be going to these places. Another thing you can do is to call it mobilize. So this includes a few different things. One thing is through financial giving. Consider how the Lord might be leading you to use your resources to help reach these places. Seek out people and organizations that are working to reach these places. I know of so many great people that are doing this. I'm one of the places I've been going, and the place that I will plan to go, Lord willing, is one of these unreached places. And I also I know that there are other missionaries that I've gotten to meet in my time that just have a really hard time raising their support because they might be like somebody from Thailand. There's 1% Christian, 1% of the population in Thailand is Christian. So, and they just are generally less, have less money and less funds to support going. And so something I've really been burdened for too is giving to those missionaries coming from those places, using that bonus, the blessing that we have received in this country to help fund those who are trying to go from other places as well. And also under mobilizing, is just casting vision, being someone who believes in this need and sees it and encourages others and tells others about it. That is talking about it, that is telling your other Christian friends, having something that's on your mind, and just advocating for those people that are going. And in Romans it says, how are they to hear if no one is preaching? How are they to preach unless someone is sent? And so we need to be doing things. I want to see the church be doing things to get people going and get people being sent. And the last way is go. So this seems like for some people a much bigger leap. It's how can I go? But there are opportunities, and I think, it can be really difficult and scary. But I would encourage you, if opportunities arise, to go on a vision trip where you get to see an area of the world for a couple weeks. I would encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity and just be looking for those opportunities to be able to go and see these places, because I think I had heard about unreached people groups and missionaries and all this stuff my whole childhood, and I was just yeah, that sounds really cool, but how am I just gonna uproot my whole life and go and be a part of this? That sounds so out of reach and scary, and I don't even know what that would look like. And so being able to go on a trip when I was in college gave me kind of a vision of okay, I'm not just going by myself to a place where nobody speaks my language and I'm just left out there and I just have to figure it out. That's not what it is. Seeing in front of you, there's a student sitting across me. The nice thing about college students in other countries is most of them learn English. So, and lots of other people, not just college students if you're in a different stage of life. But so being able to see that and really be there and see the reality in front of you was so impactful for me, and I know it would be for you as well. And I think just in general, have an open-handedness with your life. Go where God is calling you to go, and don't hold on things so tightly that if the call would come to go, that you wouldn't. And that's not for everyone to go. So for some, for a lot of us, that's your calling is to be right here where you are doing what you're doing. But maybe the Lord is telling you to be obedient in considering to go to one of these places. I just wanted to spend some time kind of casting vision for this whole just unreached people groups in general, but want to spend the rest of my time kind of talking about Thailand specifically and my time there, and kind of looking to the future as well, and giving you a picture of the spiritual reality and share some stories of hope and what the Lord has been doing. So if you weren't sure, Thailand is there on the map in Southeast Asia, so kind of nestled in there. It's very close to the equator. It is very hot all the time. It's how it's been the last week, but it's every month of the year. So like literally, I'm not even kidding. The coldest month, I think the average high was like 88 or something. That was a cold month. So yeah, it's very hot. It has a lot of different beautiful things in there. These are all photos I took. It's got, small villages, huge cities, lots of ancient temples, beautiful beaches. So there's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of God's creation, and you can see how, people in the image of God live there and create beautiful things, but a lot of it is purpose for the wrong thing and not towards their creator. One of the main religion in Thailand is Buddhism, and so I think I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. This is called the Blue Temple. That's the English name. I don't know what the... Anyway, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Buddhist temples in Thailand. Everywhere you go, probably it's about the same amount of you see churches around here as you drive around. 95% of Thai people are Buddhists. The remaining people, about 5%, are mostly Muslim, with about 1% or less being Christian. I don't pretend to be an expert in Buddhism. There's a lot to learn, and sometimes it's confusing because they also mix. Thai Buddhism has a lot of mix-ins with Hinduism and other things that I'm still learning about. But in order to kind of convey to you guys just a few things to understand the spiritual state, I wanted to just show a couple of examples. So the first one this is Wat Arun. Wat just means temple. Arun is dawn, so this is Temple of the Dawn. This is a picture from the river as we were crossing. But there, on the left, you can see this is kind of like the structure on that first picture that people actually go in to meet. People will go in to the temple to worship Buddha, to bring offerings to him or to the monks, to burn incense, to recite and chant certain Buddhist texts, or listen to a monk speak. This is the worship building on the grounds of Wat Arun. It's not the big spire one. That's just more of a symbolic thing, which I'll explain in a second. This is more of a building almost like this to meet in. But obviously with idols and big Buddha statue, and there's also a picture of the king up front. The king is very important in Thailand, but I'm not going to get too much into that. So on the right is it's that big. You got to walk right up to that big thing in the middle there. So it shows a staircase leading up, and everything's very symbolic. There's a lot of just artwork all along the edges, like mosaic and old pieces of hulls of ships and all these demon structures and all this stuff that is on this very ornate, pretty beautiful looking structure. But so as you can see, there's a staircase leading up, and there are multiple levels of the staircase that symbolize different levels on the journey of enlightenment. And so the bottom one, the base level where I took this picture from, represents the realm of all levels of existence. And then as you get up to the middle level, it represents a place where you receive everything you desire in your earthly desires. And the upper level represents their version of heaven, nirvana, full enlightenment, almost like nothingness. And I included this other picture here. And if you can read it, there's a sign on a gate that says, "No entry." And people, you used to be able, a couple years ago even, people used to be able to go up the stairs and climb up it and stuff. But as people would climb, the stairs are very steep, and they would fall and hurt themselves. And I think that's just a a picture of those who are striving to reach these higher levels of existence, striving to follow all the rules and worshiping and doing all the right things, but they just end up falling and not receiving salvation, and they don't know of the God who can give them the desires of their heart, who can save them, and who can be their Father. And so, I wanted to share that kind of picture with you. Another thing in Buddhism that actually kind of stems from Hinduism, but is very common in Thailand, are spirit houses. So they look very different. This is 4 different ones that I took pictures of. They're in front of most buildings, whether that be like a house or like a big building in the city. If you're richer, you can build a bigger one. And they're built to appease the spirit that kind of owns that portion of land or has jurisdiction, I guess, over that land to live in. And so it's a whole big ceremony when they put one in. They like oftentimes bury treasures or money or nice clothes or something under where it goes in the ground. And then every day they bring food, colorful drinks. There's these I'm trying to see if you can see it. Probably not, but on the third one, it shows like a little table with some sodas set out. I guess they really like the green. In Thailand, there's a green Fanta and a red Fanta, and I guess the spirits really like that. I do not. It's really bad. I was like, why do they sell this? Oh, it's because it's like, this is bad. Okay. It's something that they believe that if the spirits are giving respect and tribute in a nice place to dwell in, first of all, they won't enter your house, but they will provide some sort of blessing, some sort of prosperity and peace for your family. But if you fail to do that, then you will see misfortune come upon your family. And so you'll see almost every building has one of these outside. And as people walk past them on the street, a lot of times they'll do it's called a Y. It's just like a respectful bow, almost like that is used in many circumstances in a normal way. But this is kind of just to out of respect and fear, really. It's really based on a fear of evil spirits. And so from the Bible, we know that demons are real. We know that evil spirits are real. I think we don't in this country pay attention to it very much, and it's not a normal practice to even recognize. And I think most people maybe they believe in ghosts or something, but they don't really understand the spiritual warfare that's actually happening. And so I don't know if each one of these has an actual demon. I don't think that's how it works, but these people are living in fear of real spirits that exist, and they need to know that Jesus has the power over demons. He casts out demons, and he offers a freedom from this fear and from these practices that they do out of fear. So I want to share a couple stories of these wonderful guys I got to meet. This is taken pretty close to the end of my time there. The guy on the left is P Turbo. So P is you put it in front of a name if they're older than you or in a position of more of authority, like a teacher. Actually, teacher, they say something else, but basically it's somebody older than you that isn't just your family. Even sometimes they use it for family, but so you would say P Turbo. He's not that much older than me. He's 30, but anyway. So, and Thai people also love nicknames, so that's not his given birth name, but they a lot of times will have English words as their nickname. So he was a student at the university that my team was working at this past year, which is called Chankasem Rajabat University, and which the initials that is CRU, which is Cru, which is what I'm working for. So anyway, but so he was a student about 10 years ago at this university, and some Australian missionaries came and planted a church. That's actually where we're in right there, near the university, and had reached out to him, and he got connected to that church through their ministry. And he was coming from a Buddhist family and did not believe in God, and was led to Christ through the work of these missionaries. And he immediately was just on fire for the Lord, and he brought his brothers. He has a lot of brothers. He brought his brothers to the church, and at least 3 of them are still going there now. I got to meet them and kind of led them to the Lord and started training under these missionaries as well to become a pastor. And so currently he is the pastor of this church as the missionaries had to go back to their home countries, and he kind of was able to take over and now is leading this ministry, which we got to partner with. And so it's just really exciting. And it's also the church is also a coffee shop during the week, which is really cool. So he'll work at the coffee shop. He's the barista, and people come in, and if he gets the chance, he'll share the gospel with them. And they just have all the time. I see people. I went there during the week a lot, and people from the church are hanging out, and just like a really cool community. And they meet almost every night for some sort of prayer meeting or Bible study together. It's a really small church. I'll go back to this picture in a second, but this is a picture of all of us after. This is the first time that we went. Just some of my team is there, but so we had, just a little small community. You can see the building a little bit more. That's a church building, just a really small kind of one-room building that on Sundays we rearranged the chairs to have worship service, and so it's just such a blessing to work alongside him. As just even he knows English really well too, so we were able to communicate a lot with him and hear his story. And he's Thai, and so we would meet friends from the campus, and he has a really big heart for the campus too, because that's where he went, and he wants to reach people there, and it's just down the street. And so we would kind of bring people in to meet with him, and he would, I wouldn't be able to share much with them from the gospel, or be able to talk a little bit and ask some questions. But in the case of Tak, who's the guy on the right, he's a student there currently, and he's from a Buddhist family. He's very influential family in his home province, which is far away from Bangkok. But this guy's the cool kid on campus. He's always hanging out with everybody. Has lots of friends. He's in a lot of leadership roles. He gets to MC events and stuff. But he doesn't know a lot of English, so we were able to talk a little bit. And I have some tools on my phone and some tracks in multiple languages that I'm able to go through. But and he came to a lot of our events and was hanging around and was a really good friend. But eventually, one day, my roommate and teammate, Spencer and John David, both of them, texted him to meet up, and they met at this cafe where P. Turbo was, and they sat down together and went through the gospel, and Tak came to believe in Jesus. And P. Turbo was invaluable in that situation because he was just able to explain so much and really be coming from the same place. I'm also from a Buddhist family. I also had these same questions. I know where you're coming from, and this is the truth. And so just seeing, I wish I wasn't there when it happened, but I was this is a picture from Sunday the week after, and I could just see the difference in his life and the joy that was in his eyes. And so now he's really excited to get back on his campus and learn more from P. Turbo and from others about the gospel, his new life in Christ, and wants to share the gospel with others on his campus. There's a couple cool stories. So for me, looking forward, I was there in Thailand from September through May. Like I talked about a little bit before, I've kind of bounced around a lot and been moved to different countries, but I made the decision to join staff with Cru and to invest long-term in Thailand, and with hopes to return, and I don't know how long, but as long as the Lord would have me to be there, to really learn the language and get to invest in people there, and hopefully see the Lord work through that. So this is a picture of my team that I'll be hopefully joining next year. We all got together for this conference near the end of my time there. That was really encouraging. It was amazing to see kind of people like the international missionaries and the Thai national staff come together and really be and hear encouragement from the Word to cast vision for what are we trying to do in the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, what is our goal And so, yeah, this is not the team I was on this past year, but this is will be my team, Lord willing. And it's, a lot of us are Americans. We also have a few Thai people and one person from Singapore. So it's really cool how we can work together, bringing our different strengths to the table and experiences to be able to work together. And there's about 100 Thai staff at this conference, and so it was just really amazing to be all with them together and with all the other people that are planning to move to Thailand, to just be like, all right, this is who we're going with, and we're really excited to be moving forward and committing to work alongside each other together in partnership. So this was a really it's a silly photo, but this conference in general was a very just impactful time for me and for our group as we look to reach the campuses of Thailand and hope to eventually have that lead into the rest of the country, as well as a lot of times whole families will come to know the Lord after a student will go back home and share with them. And so, that's what I'm looking to. The next steps for me this year as I'm back, I got back in June 1st, and I'm doing a lot of different transition things from going to being a kind of an intern to more of a long-term staff member with Cru. So I'm doing a lot of prep for that, taking some Bible classes, getting trained in some of the things of my new job, and just being really, what was I going to say? I don't know. And starting to raise support for being a long-term missionary. And so there's kind of a lot going on with that. In September, I'll be going to a couple-week-long new staff orientation training where kind of I'll officially be on Cru staff and commissioned, and they have a lot of training and stuff to do. So, and my goal is to go back in February. That's kind of what the date I'm shooting for, but lots of things could change that, but that's kind of just my overall goal. So I would love to be in contact with each and every one of you if you would like to hear more and talk to me about what I'm going to be doing. I put a sign-up sheet in the back. It's on that little welcome table. Just if you'd like to hear more, and I don't already have your contact info. I know I have some of you already. Feel free to put down your email and phone number, or talk to me or you can just walk up and talk to me, or if you're interested in hearing more about some of the other missionaries that I've gotten to connect with from other places as well. I know they're always looking for people to be praying for them and to partner with them also. So I would love to open it up for a few minutes. We just got about 5 minutes left for questions. I just wanted to brag on some of these other photos I took. But anyway, feel free to, I didn't take the ones that I'm in, but I'm in them. Okay, anyway. So I'd love to open up for questions about anything I talked about, and if you don't get to it, if you think of it later, you can always ask me. But yes, Rena. Yeah. So the name of the guy who trusted Jesus, his name is Tak. And yes, she was asking about kind of the coffee shop and to expound a little bit more. I didn't get to all of what we got to do there, but he was able to, because that coffee shop is just down the street from the campus we were at, we were able to use that space for a lot of events, like holiday parties and stuff that we would have people come to, and that they would, he was just really gracious with offering up his time to help translate and just partnering with us in hey, it's students to come to this welcome space and safe place where they can hear the word and see the community there. And so it was really impactful and special that we didn't know this going in. We were kind of just going in kind of blind to okay, let's figure out what's going on at this college campus and try to figure out how we can get a movement going. And so he was so special to work with as we got to use the space during the week, invite people to church. Like inviting people to church to see other Thai people around them who are worshiping Jesus was really impactful as well, because most of them had probably only seen Buddhists. Or maybe they'd be like, oh, there's this guy from America. Of course he's Christian. He's from America, whatever. Like, how does that apply to me? I'm Thai. I'm Buddhist. Kind of like breaking that connection of their nationality with their religion, and like that's not how it works. So, yeah. Sam.
Will you be working with that same campus, that same coffee shop church, or will you be working at another place? How will your ministry be different?
Yeah, so going back, the team that I'll be working with is assigned to, still in Bangkok, it's assigned to kind of a region with a couple different universities in it. One of the universities is the same one we've been working on. There's also a much larger university kind of in that region that we'll be working on that I have got to see once, but I haven't done a lot on. But yeah, we will still be working at that campus and like investing in the relationships we have with people there, as well as getting to work on another big campus too. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. She asked, is the government kind of hostile towards Christians, or is it more just like a social thing? Thailand is actually one of the like most religious free countries in that region. So thankfully, like we can be really open about sharing the gospel on college campuses. We can do a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to do in these other places as far as like holding big events. And so there really isn't any religious persecution from the government, but more of it comes from family pressures, because with Buddhism, it's like you're trying to earn merit for yourself, and a lot of that has to do with like, are your children following in the way of Buddhism? Are your children doing certain things? Like men are normally required to spend some time being a monk, and for different lengths of time in order to bring merit when their grandparents pass away, or things like that. So it's just like, how dare you, if someone refuses to do that, it's like, how dare you bring dishonor, not bring merit to your grandfather, like family, things like that. So that's more of the reality, is ostracism from family and versus like being thrown in prison or something or whatever. But it's still a really tough thing and decision for people to come to Christ, because oftentimes they're facing that. So thanks for asking that. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I can close this up in prayer. And feel free to come up to me anytime. I'll try to be around. Be around after, and I'll just be around every week. So, but I appreciate you guys listening and for your prayers. So, God, we just thank you that you are a God that cares for the nations, that you have created each and every person in your image and to reflect the beauty that you are. But we know that there is a lot of hurt in this world, that you have given us this commission to reach the nations, and there are a lot of people that just have not heard. And so I want to pray that you would not let us leave here unbothered by these facts, but that we would be encouraged to do something about it. And I pray that just for Thailand, as so many people are under constant fear and just pressure, that have not heard the good news of the freeing power of the gospel, that you have provided a way for them to have salvation. So I just pray for this country and this specific place, that you would be working through the lives of those believers that are already there, and that you would be sending and raising up more people to go to there and from there to other places around the world. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, thank you.